Hello and welcome back to Overbooked. I'm Amanda and today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 fiction books for 2019. Holy crap, you guys. I cannot believe we're here. I can't believe we made it. 2019. Holy crap. This is crazy. I have put together in order my top 5 books that I read for 2019. And I'm going to start from number 5 and go up to number 1. Number 5 is Where the Crawdads Say by Delilah Owens. I was kind of late to the bandwagon here when I read this. I think I read it back in March, but I'm really glad that I did read it. It was such an amazing book, an amazing story, and I just really enjoyed it. I tore through the book. I read it in like 2 days. I isolated myself away from my coworkers from reading this book. I put myself in a corner and just read. And it was such a good book. So this book takes place in North Carolina in the marsh, and it focuses on the girl Kaya, and she is essentially abandoned by all of her family members, and she grows up alone in this marsh area. So the story really just focuses on her survival and her growing up by herself and doing everything. And she finally gets old enough where she starts, yearning to be loved and have companionship, and she meets 2 boys, and each are, interested in her attention. And eventually there's a crime that happens and everyone suspects her. So then not only do you learn about Kaya's life, you also are in the middle of this criminal case and trial, and it's just really cool and interesting. Highly recommend. So number 4 is The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead, and I have talked about this nonstop, so just a quick overview. The Nickel Boys is about a reform school for boys in Florida, and it just centers around a character and who is falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit, but he's sent to the school anyways, and his struggle of getting acclimated to the school and figuring out everything and trying to get out, essentially. It's a really impactful book. It's really short, so if you don't have a ton of time on your hands but you want to read a really cool, really impactful book, I highly suggest this one. And it's also based on the real reform school called the Dozier School in Florida, and it is eerily crazy how similar these 2 schools are. Colson Whitehead used a lot of inspiration and stories from the Dozier School to write this book, and he did such an amazing job and definitely gave this one 5 stars. So number 3 is A Woman Is No Man by Itef Rum. I really enjoyed this book. I voted for it a ton in the Goodreads Choice Awards. It unfortunately didn't win, so bummed about that. So this book really centers around Arab American women living in America and their struggles of being female in this country and under their roofs. And the story goes back and forth between Daya, who is living with her grandparents, and they're pressuring her to start looking at suitors and getting married, but she really just wants to go to college and continue her education. And then it goes to the story of her mother, who is a newly American immigrant, and she is trying to adjust to her new family and her life in America. Daya doesn't know a ton about her mother, so not only is the book detailing their lives, but it also is going through how Daya discovers more information about her mom and where she comes from and just her family history. And it's just a really heartbreaking, really impactful book. Again, it was just so sad to read, but so good, and I really loved it, and I recommend it. Number 2 is The Great Believers by Rebecca Mackay. I don't believe that this one came out this year, but that's fine. I read it this year, so that's all that matters. And The Great Believers is this amazing story about a man going through Chicago in the 1980s during the AIDS epidemic, and he is watching as all of his friends fall victim to this terrible disease, and eventually his partner, and it's just a really hard book to read and watch, and the whole time you're like, no, and very eye-opening too as well, because I think all of us know about AIDS, but I think we all kind of forget the terrible injustice that was done to gay men or people who had AIDS during that time. And it really opened my eyes to this moment in history and I would love to continue reading about it. Somebody gave me a suggestion. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I plan on doing it. And then you also see the perspective of the present day with one of the friends and just going back and forth between the time periods. And it's just an amazing multi-generational story. I loved it. Okay, finally, what we've all been waiting for. My number one pick for 2019 is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I absolutely adored this book. I cannot say enough good things about it. It was so good. So this book is also a multi-generational story. It starts with Sanja, and she is the daughter of a fisherman in Korea, and she eventually finds and falls in love with this very wealthy man. He's handsome, and when he gets her pregnant, she finds out that he is married, and she cannot deal with this, and she refuses to be bought. So instead, she accepts a proposal offer from a minister that's going through on his way to Japan, and she moves away from home. And then this starts this whole multi-generational saga, and we see her life in Japan, and then her children's life, and then her grandchildren's life. And it's just such an amazing story, and it just shows like how impactful decisions are, not just on yourself, but through your whole family and everyone that's around you. And it was just a great book. This is also a really big book, so if you're looking for a book to read that you need to keep you warm this winter, I highly suggest this book. It's so good. I would love for this to become a movie. Where is Reese Witherspoon? Can I send her suggestions? Like, I wish she had a thing in her Instagram where you could just be like, request a book to be made into a movie or series. Pachinko, please. HBO, something. I would love it. It was such a good book, you guys. I cannot highly recommend it enough, and you should check it out. Okay, so those were my top 5 books of 2019, top 5 fiction books of 2019. In the comments below, let me know what your favorite fiction books were of 2019. I'd love to hear them. And as always, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.